Alderman Alexander.
Here.
And Alderman Johnson. Absent. All right, we have a quorum. First, I have received one public comment. It is from Carol DePace-Stream, and it says, today, March 15th, 2021, we'll get to see what and where the Finance Committee directs Blue Island taxpayer dollars. Will our by taxpayer dollars actually be directed towards necessities, ALS, BIFD equipment, BIPD body cameras, and roadways? 2021 appropriations needs to put money into ALS, BIFD, ALS ambulance and fire trucks, BIPD body cameras, roadways, upgrade BI City Hall cybersecurity, upgrade audio at City Hall, and implement 20% water rate rollback. Appropriations is the biggest part of the critical process to get the people's work done. After all this time, the Finance Committee still has not reviewed and passed a 20% water rate rollback. Will your Finance Committee review and get the 20% water rate rollback passed for the Blue Island water consumers before the April 6, 2021 elections? All right, thank you, Ms. Green. Moving on, we'll start off with the appropriation. So we'll start, I guess, how does everyone want to do, do we just want to go through this by the different lines?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, so we'll start, let me just pull it up here. I wasn't able to print it.
Is there someone from the accounting firm online with us to answer questions?
I thought Marisol said that someone from the firm was going to be on, but I don't see anybody. So I will do my best, and then any questions we'll just have to submit, I guess, to whoever the new person is. All right, so where do we want to start? Mayor's office? Start at number 1?
How about revenues?
All right, sure. That sounds good to me. All right, let's start at revenues.
So all along for the last couple of years, I've been asking for expensive revenue reports. Yeah, I sound like a broken record. It took forever to get them. When we did get them, we never got a final one for last year. I'm looking at the revenues that are on this appropriations ordinance. And if you look at from fiscal year 20 actual to fiscal year 21 appropriation, there's an increase. I'm just going to go with the total here in the general fund of $1,140,000 roughly. Just curious where they're coming from. I mean, I can look down the list and see where he's got them, but how sure are we that we're going to increase these revenues? Obviously, we can't spend more than we bring in. It's my feeling all along. So that's why I'm asking if there's someone from the accounting firm. As you know, I've also been asking for information about appropriations for months from our previous finance director who quit. So I'm not quite sure you're going to be able to answer my questions, Chairman.
Jim and Kevin, Chris just joined us from Warner Rogers.
Great, thanks. Thank you. Thanks, Randy. Hi, Chris. So we just started. We're going over the revenue, and I'll let Alderman Klinker re-ask his question because he did have a question regarding the revenues.
Hi, Chris. So my question is in regarding revenues. Just going the general fund alone, looks like we're projecting an increase of $1,140,000. I have the exact numbers here, but I don't have a calculator. So, and I can look back and I can see where there's definite increases. You know, commuter lot revenue is 150 grand this year. We brought in 47,000 last year. The big one is ambulance user fees. We're projecting 700,000 this year, and last year we brought in 164,000 according to this document. So my question is, how sure are we that these revenue projections are going to be real?
Okay, so the revenue for the ambulance user fees I received were based on the ALS upgrade. So if that did not occur, then that would actually go back down to the projections of about 300,000. The 164 was light compared to the prior years. So the upgrade to the 700,000 from the 300,000 before is from that ALS upgrade. So if that was not to occur, then we would have to adjust down from there.
Can I ask a question regarding that real quick, just for clarification?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
But the 160, and I think, Chris, I had sent you an email regarding that. That total, I don't know where that came from or if it wasn't all posted, but we collected way more than the 100 or whatever your total you just gave. But that total was, again, I don't know where it came from, but I know the monies that we collect because I've submitted it obviously every month prior, or I should say for the entire year, I submit that total and it totaled way more than that.
Thanks, Chief. That was my next question because we were probably closer to. No, that's okay. No, I appreciate you jumping in and saying that because you report that to the Public Health and Safety Committee, and I want to say last year we were well over 300,000. So how did we come up with 164 on this document?
I'm just taking it directly from the general ledger. That Topeka had prepared, so I can double check to see if it was posted in another revenue account for that year, and I can follow up on that.
Okay, so here we go again, and nothing against you, Chris. I know you guys are doing the best that you can, but we've been kept in the dark the entire year as far as finances are concerned. Now we're sitting at March, what is it, the 15th? Have to pass this document through the council by the end of the month and get it to the county, and we're just starting. Very frustrated with this, Chairman. I'm looking at, okay, here's another one, cable franchise fees, $190,000 is what we're projecting. Last year, we didn't collect anything. The year before, we projected 190. We didn't collect anything. You know, what I'm getting at is, you know, we could sit here and put down this number of that we're going to bring in 16,172,328 and then come up with ways to spend it. But if we don't come up with 16,172,328 and we spend all that, well, the future council, because I won't be on it, is definitely going to be in the hole. You follow what I'm saying?
Alderman Donahue, and I agree with Alderman Klinker. And back to that cable franchise fees, I know people in Blue Island have cables, so why didn't we collect any fees last year?
Chris, do you know the answer for that?
And I would have, like I said, I would have to follow up to see if they were misposted, what occurred. I would have to see exactly where that revenue went. Because I know I know you are receiving fees in from Comcast. I don't know if it's just misposting to a different line item or what it might have been.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry, Alderman.
Go ahead.
I will want to know exactly where those fees are being posted. I do have Comcast, and I see it on my bill that's being paid every month. So I need to know exactly where those funds are being posted to, so they can be posted to the correct line item.
So Chairman, all along, once again, I've been asking for revenue reports and haven't gotten anything. Here we are once again at the end, and we're looking at these numbers, and I just picked out 2 or 3 that are wrong, or possibly wrong. How many more of them are wrong or possibly wrong that I don't know about? I mean, I just picked the ambulance fee one because I'm aware of that from Chief Dan, and other ones that are kind of obvious. That's my concern, is that we're working off of false numbers, and once again, this is not a slam on anybody, especially the accounting firm. I know they're working the best they can at this, but it just seems to me that we've never been given revenue numbers in the 2 years that I've been an alderman on any kind of timely basis. We never got final revenues from last year. Now we're looking at this document that we got a week ago, and we got to make decisions on how to spend the money. And I don't even know if this document's correct. So that's where I'm coming from, Chairman.
Right. Understood. Chris, would it be easy to get that information to us this week sometime on these the line items that they asked about, the Comcast fees and ambulance fees?
Yeah, I can. Like I said, I can look through the general ledger, see where they were posted, and get back to you on that. Yeah.
Great, thank you. All right. Anything else in revenue?
Yes.
Any other questions? Right,
yes.
Go ahead.
Also,
Alderman.
the abandoned house grant reimbursement. I don't see Mark Miller on here, but I know that he's done several grants for abandoned houses. And so I know we did get some last year, and nothing is being posted for that as well.
Okay, we'll have Chris, if you could look into that one as well.
Kevin, you might as well have them look at every single one that shows nothing. There's a bunch towards the bottom. There's grants, police,
Sure.
JAG, we're projecting 10 grand. We got nothing last year. Safer grant, this shows we got nothing last year. I mean, you can just look through and pick out the ones that have a line in them. I mean, you might as well do every single one of them. Because if we're basing it off of, you know, what we brought in last year, we didn't bring in anything last year, but yet we're still putting the same number down for this year. Are we going to get nothing this year? Or are we going to actually get the money? Towing fees, 65,000. We're projecting 100,000. You know, I
Sure.
just, yeah, I'm beating a dead horse, but I just really, yeah, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
I understand. So Chris, if you could do that, please, all the ones that have zeros in it, just to make sure that they're posted somewhere or posted correctly somewhere. That'd be very helpful. Thank you.
I will look into that.
All right. Anything else under revenues? No. All right. Well, we'll move on to the mayor's office. So, any particular questions pertaining on the mayor's office line item? It looks about just about the same as last year's.
Yeah, I do have a question. Are we doing 3% raises for employees this year?
That was factored in to the salary line items. And then the other thing that was factored in is that IMRF is actually going to go down to 9.5% from 16.5%. So when you're looking at anything salary related, the FICA, Medicare, those are all based on calculations from line items 5100, 5200, and then based on the percentages of those, as well as that reduction in the IMRF from the prior year.
Right, I get that, but I'm trying to make sure that we came into an agreement as far as city council to do 3% raises this year. I don't remember that agreement. Donahue, do you remember that, or Klinker?
Nope, this is the first we've seen of that number.
Yeah, was it 3% across the board for all non-union employees, Chris?
That was the projections that Topeka had in here. That was the working understanding I was going under.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm fine keeping the 3% in, but if the committee wants to remove that, we could go ahead and do that. Just looking for guidance there.
I know he's saying it was projected, but I just want to make sure that it was agreed upon. So I'm not in agreement with that right now until I know for sure that that was agreed upon with the council.
I don't think we agreed upon it yet. I think the agreement would come through when we do the appropriation right now. That's how we've always done raises in the past, was during the appropriation for the 3% raise when we did it last year and the year. Every time we've done a 2 or 3% raise, it's always been during the appropriation. All right. Any other questions on the mayor's account here?
So the
in
amount
regard,
of appropriation for dues and membership, is that 7,000? Does that include the question that they're asking? The membership for the mayor's conference and meeting a year at $150, does that include that or no?
I believe that does include that, yes. The question that was left over were, as there was nothing booked there at all in 2020, and again, that's going to be something that you have to see if they were posted elsewhere. But that 7,000 would include that 4 at the 150.
Okay, so last year he did not do any memberships and dues at all.
No, I think we took that out last year, and that.
So it said appropriation was 8,000, but actual was 0. So is that the actual budget or what they actually spent? Let me make sure I understand this first.
I don't think they spent it because we didn't renew the membership with the South Suburban Mayors group.
Okay.
I can absolutely take that out if that's something that needs to be taken out as well. It was left in here. again, if this is not something that will be happening going forward, I can take it out.
Do you want to take it out again, or do we want to keep it? Do we want to reinstate it?
I'm okay with leaving it in.
Okay. Annette, are you good?
I'm okay if we know that that's the amount that the memberships are going to cost. I don't want us to just throw a number in there, assuming that that's what the memberships are going to cost.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions or comments on the mayor's office appropriation? No? All right. Move on to the finance department. I'll again open up for questions here. It looks like there are some increases. The biggest one looks like professional consulting. There's a fairly large increase. And it looks like everything else stayed the same. So any questions?
So if I remember correctly from last year, Chairman, that professional consulting line, that's what we're paying the accounting from out of, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe it's the firm that's on right now, and then
Right.
does the audit might come out of there as well. Or
Okay,
the audit
well,
have their own.
my point with
No, the
this
audit has
is
their own.
my point with this is last year, we decided when we were doing appropriations that we were getting a new finance director. And we got a new finance director, and our goal was to basically have them teach the new finance director the ropes between then and wherever it took. We figured April, May, June, whatever. Obviously, they stayed on all the way through the end, even when we still had a finance director up until a couple of weeks ago. So, I mean, I see that number goes from, we appropriated 25 grand last year. We spent 96, 269.35, which is huge. And now we want to appropriate 170. I understand there's an election coming, and who knows who's going to be mayor and whatever. I personally would prefer that we have a line item for a finance director in here as well. I think that's what needs to be done again this year is I don't know how to do this, but I think that number is way too high. And I think we need to rely on in-house personnel more so than outside personnel. Nothing against your firm, Chris. But that's my feelings on that.
Sure. So, go ahead, Chris.
I would say, if I may, I left both line items in there. I have not a problem reducing either of them. The first one on there is the finance director at 52,000. It's less than last year just based on it's not going to be in there for the full year. You're going to have a gap of some time without the finance director. So I left both of them in there. I can absolutely reduce either of them as you see fit.
The finance director is also getting money out of another fund too. I'd have to look back and see which one that position gets paid out of, a split. I believe it's a 75-25 split.
Yes, it's 75 with the fund 1 and then 25% out of water fund 2.
Yeah. Okay.
So would everyone be okay, good if we lowered that from 170 down back to 100,000?
Yeah, I think that would be the highest I would go.
Yeah.
Because if just going back to years past, it looked like it was 85, and then last year was just under 100,000. So if we're good, Chris, can you change that to 100,000? The professional consulting one.
I just did that. Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, any other questions on this?
The accounting software that we have, is it going to be $20-some thousand every year?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't hear the first part of your question.
The accounting software service that we have, is it going to cost $29,000 every year? Is that, Chris, I'm going to lean on you. Is that pretty standard for accounting software?
Yeah, that's pretty standard for the monthly billing. And then I believe, I'll have to check my notes on this, but there was also a couple of phone calls in last year with the new finance director getting adjusted to everything. They may have billed extra in there, but with that, that's how it got to the 29,000 rather than the 28. Just a couple of miscellaneous call-in phone calls, but I can double check on that.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Annette?
Yes. It does for now. Yeah, it does for now.
All right. Anything else on fund, the finance fund?
I'm good.
402? I'm sorry, Jim, did you have another
No,
question?
I said I'm good. I'm good, Kevin.
Oh, okay. All right. Annette, are you good?
Yes, I'm good.
All right. We'll move on to the city clerk's fund here. Again, it looks pretty similar. Last year was just under 105,000. This year we're just going over 105 and $600. Looks like everything stayed the same. So any questions regarding the clerk's fund?
None from me.
Annette, you have anything?
It looks pretty good. It looks fine.
All righty. Well, as we're moving on, the alderman, obviously the biggest change here is cutting down from 14 to 7. So there'll just be 7 salaries being paid out of this starting in May. Any questions on the alderman page?
No question.
Nope.
All right. General administration. This is a bigger one, and again, there looked like just an increase, 5% increase from 931,000 to 987,000. Any questions?
Yeah. So another question in regard to what's posted here and what information I previously had. So I don't know if you remember, Kevin, a while ago I asked you when I wasn't allowed to talk to the finance director to get me copies of the printout from Smart Fusion of all of our legal bills.
Sure.
And she sent it to you, and then you sent it to me. And I have them here in front of me, and I'm looking at account number 0496640. And on the paper that we have in front of us, or it's on my computer, legal fees for that account this year were $174,887.99. And on the hard copy that I printed out from what she sent me, which goes from January 1st to December 31st, it's $322,901.70. So once again, the numbers on the document that we got and the information that I have from previous don't match. And that's also going to come up again when we get to account 480-7210. There's another, it's off there as well. So once again, it's hard for me to be able to vote on something or you get what I'm saying? It's very difficult to, if the numbers that I'm seeing and the numbers that I have had in the past, they don't match. It's, how good is our accounting is what I'm asking.
Sure. So Chris, is that something you could look into too when you're checking those other numbers to see what the discrepancy is?
What I'll have to do is, I don't have that copy of the 300,000. I don't have that available. So if you could provide me with a copy of that, I can check where those items may have changed to. And then I'll have to look into, see if we can pull up a like an audit trail, if you would, of things that got adjusted after the original recording to see where they moved to as well.
So this paper, Kevin, the paper that I got, the email from the finance director through you was dated January 20th of this year.
Great. That's very helpful. I'll send that to him shortly. So while it's on my mind here, not so we backtrack. So on the alderman one, Chris, are we sure that number's correct? Because we're still paying 14 aldermen for 5 months out of the year. So it says a 50% reduction, but wouldn't the number be different because you're paying 14 of us for 5 months?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. This was not a tab I touched after Tamika had done the original one, but that's right. I see where there is, and there we can adjust that back up to reflect that difference.
Cool. All right. Sorry, back to general administration. So besides the discrepancy with the legal bills, or the legal billing.
I have a couple more. If my dog stops barking, sorry. Salaries full-time project coordinator. Is that Mark Miller's position?
I believe so.
Okay. I wasn't sure where he got paid out of.
And it looks like his is one of those where it's a split too.
Split ones too, right? Okay. Down to 6510. here I am again complaining about the phone bill. We still need to do something about that. We're going, we're raising, we appropriated 270 last year. We spent 305, and now we're appropriating 300 here, and there's more elsewhere in this document. So just gonna go on record again on that. Hate to sound like I'm harping on it, but I've been harping on it since April of last year.
And then I know at the last meeting, Carrie mentioned about trying to get an AT&T rep to actually come and talk to us so we can understand what's actually going on and relay our concerns. So I think Paul's trying to set something up with them now.
Yeah. Okay.
I was saying the same thing, Klinker, about that phone bill. And I understand that trying to get a rep to come see us, but we already paying Paul to handle that. So it needs to be taken care of by him, since we're paying him to do that.
Hey, Chairman.
Yes.
Chairman, this is Sergeant Sisk. I actually spoke with Paul last week about that. He has direct contact with an AT&T rep now. He says he thinks we're about 30 days from getting a total of like 30 lines moved, that he is working with them. And if he said, if you guys want to invite him to a finance committee meeting, maybe the next one that you're having, he can come and provide more information and updates on them.
Sure. Thanks, Sergeant. I'll shoot Paul just to let him know that our meeting's on next Monday at 6. So.
Okay.
Okay. Any other on the general administration fund?
Yes, I know. I just heard Chief was saying about Paul. We've had him at a meeting, and he's supposed to have all of those lines taken care of. So yes, please invite him to the next finance meeting, because we need an update, and the majority of those issues should be taken care of. It's been taking too long for that right now. Also, what is general part-time on here? Who are those salaries?
The general part-time, my understanding is that that's your blue cap individuals.
Okay.
They were, remember not we they used to clean City Hall, but we're doing a month by month cleaning contract until the pandemic's over, and then they'll come back to work for us part-time.
Right. I understand. I just wanted to make sure that all these salaries, we know exactly who they are. We don't want any type of ghost salaries going on.
Also, not to backtrack on my end of that, but would it be possible for someone to send me those ambulance user fees so I have something to compare it against, just to verify who the rest of those are?
Jim, can you send that to him, or Dan, if you have that?
Yeah, I'll put it all together. I'll send it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
None from me.
We'll move on to the police department. Just looking again at the bottom, it's still pretty flat compared to last year. I know Chief Farr's on the line, and we just heard from Kevin Sisk, Sergeant Sisk. If there's any questions, I'm sure they'd both be happy to answer. So are there any questions about the police department budget?
First one I have is body cams. Are they in here someplace?
No, Alderman. They're not currently in the appropriations.
Not in the appropriations. Okay. Is there any reason why not, Chief?
We have yet to decide on a vendor, and because of that, the cost is fluctuating.
Okay. Chairman,
go ahead, Jim.
I'm going to suggest that we put them in here somewhere, even if we have to put it at the high end of the vendors that they have so far, but it needs to be done.
Sure. So my question, do you think with that legislation that they passed in January mandating it, do you think the state's going to be doing some sort of grant programs or anything to help police departments fund the purchase of body cams?
Well, we have the high end estimate is 20,000. We're not required to have it until 2025. But if we're going to add it, into this year's appropriations, it should be in line 6103. So if we can add another 20 to 6103.
And Alderman, in answer to your question, in terms of grants and such, the only thing the grants cover is the actual equipment. The biggest cost involved with body cams is going to be storage fees and such.
Sure,
And that is not covered, those are not covered by grants. So you're looking at $15,000 to $18,000 a year that we'd have to cover that will not be covered by grants.
Okay, so this year, do you think it would be like $40,000 this year, $20,000 for the purchase, and then $20,000 for the back end side of things?
No, actually, because with the amount of anticipated requests, we would need to hire an additional clerk, and that's about 40,000, give or take 40,000 in and of itself. So you're looking about 80,000 altogether.
Okay. Are we the committee good with doing that? Putting another 40,000 in for a clerk, and then the 40,000 for the purchase, and then the back end storage for the body cams?
Well, once again, I think it's something we need to do. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Annette, are you good with that?
Yes, I'm okay with that.
So Chris, could you do that? Just update this one with the 20,000 or the 40,000 and what the line item the chief said, and then the 40,000 for the position to manage all this stuff.
Okay, and this is going to go under the administrative assistant category then for that 40,000.
No, it'd be a 5,100 full-time clerk,
Full-time clerk. Okay.
and then the 6103 service contracts.
Okay, I will go ahead and I will add those in right now then.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes, I have
Go ahead,
some.
Annette.
For the police vest, it's going from 1955 to 13,000.
What the what?
Which I'm sorry, Annette, could you repeat that, please?
5710. It's going from
5710.
1955 to 13,000.
Yes, Alderman, we've had several, at least 7 hires that we are responsible for equipping the officers with the vest. In addition to that, the life of the vest expires after 5 years, so we need to continually buy new vests once they expire.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for that education.
Sure.
Anything else for the police department?
Yep. And we're going to go back up to salaries. Police chief salary. That's a huge jump, Chairman. I know last year we did our best to add some to it. I mean, I know I was in the position. I'm going to ask the same question when we get to the fire chief's pay. You know, I understand, you know, they have on the sheet here in the comments, replace a new full-time chief at industry standard. I get that. I lived it for a couple of years there. But we got to realize that this is Blue Island, and we have to base things on what we're bringing in, not what other towns are that might have a higher equalized assessed valuation, might have other revenue resources that we don't have. I think that number is way out of line.
Alderman, if I could address that. First of all, the 20 actual is inaccurate. It should be 98,000. Secondly, you have sergeants making 100,000, and the industry standard is typically 10% over your highest rank, which brings you to 111,000. So I don't think it's as out of line as one may see. But I understand what you're looking at, but what you're looking at is inaccurate.
Well, Chief, I'm looking at what we're bringing in the city of Blue Island, what we can afford. I understand that. Like I said, I lived it. I know that I was $25,000 to $30,000 underpaid when I was chief. I know that. I did the same thing. I looked and saw what everyone else was making. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying that whoever the police chief is and the fire chief don't deserve a pay raise. I'm just saying that I don't think that's fiscally responsible for the city of Blue Island at this time.
So just to interject here, what's the current rate, Chief Farr?
If you were paying a chief, the chief's salary, that would be costing you 98,000, roughly.
Okay.
This year.
So what if we compromise on this and we go, instead of doing 111, we go to 105? Is that agreeable to members of the committee?
First of all,
the issue is that we don't have a deputy chief right now. So where's the buffer between a sergeant and a deputy chief? You know, because the industry standard is 5%. And then,
Sure.
So without a deputy chief, you know, now you're just relying on the 7 sergeants you have. See, we don't have deputy chiefs right now. Okay, so if we were to hire a deputy chief, at what salary are we going to start them at if your chief is making 105 and your sergeant's making 100?
Yeah.
That's
I'm with you, Chief. I think it's something we should pay.
Kevin, let me tell you something, and I'm not saying that what was right 20 years ago is right now. It's been the way all the way along. I'm not sure about the police department. I remember Louis Lombardo, who was fire chief when I started, was complaining that the lieutenants were making more than him because they've made overtime and all that kind of stuff. I understand that the sergeants are making as much as they're making. Once again, I'm not saying anything about anyone personally. I'm saying that we need to be fiscally responsible. We should bump that up. Yes, we should. But should we go to 111 and whatever it was on the fire department went to? I don't think that it's fiscally responsible. That's my point.
Sure, understood. So would you be okay going to 105?
You want to go 105? I'm good with 105. We said that last year when we came back and we relooked at the police chief and the fire chief salaries a couple of months into the year. I think it was in April or May. We said that, and if you go back and watch the tape, I said that then, that we needed to, you know, that they need a substantial increase because it's lacking. And I think a $7,000 increase would be substantial in my opinion. And also, for the record, here's another number that's on our sheet as being the actual expense from last year, and it's $4,500 off. So once again, how accurate are all these numbers that we're being given?
Now that
Sure.
number I took directly from your payroll website. Now, is there other fees for this person? Sure, but they're included in holidays, a uniform allowance. Yeah, it's broken apart, so that person's pay may be more than that, but that particular line item itself is directly from the payroll support.
Well, the chief shouldn't be getting paid holidays. So.
Right. No, I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah.
There's just additional.
So Annette, are you good if we bump that or we change it to 105?
I'm okay, as long as that's in agreement with the conversations that we had last year. Like Klinker was saying, with the police chief and fire chief. I just want us to make sure that we, you know, keep to our word and we are aligned with what we told them at that time.
Sure. All right. So Chris, could you change that from 111 to 105, please?
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions in this one? I know there's a lot in this one here.
There's another telephone down there that we're up to looking at 25 grand more, adding on to that 300 that we had in the last one. So.
Sure. And I just
keep
Paul,
on that, Kevin.
No, absolutely. I get it. And Paul, he said he'll be there on Monday, so we can.
How about so roof repair? I know we got something else coming up. I know I've talked to the chief. I know the roof is in the police station is in desperate need of repair. I'm looking at the line for building maintenance and repair. It's 80,000. I'm not a roofer, but I'm thinking that's nowhere near enough.
Can I address that?
Yeah, go ahead, Chief, please.
We have a quote for $65,000 to replace their air conditioning unit. We also have a quote from Piper Roofing to repair and replace the existing roof for $12,000, and that comes with a 15-year warranty. So I'm thinking between the two, $80,000 would be safe.
Wow, that's only $15,000 to replace the roof at the police station.
$12,000.
$12,000. Wow.
Yeah. It's
once again, I'm not a roofer. But the one for the fire department is close to 200 grand, isn't it?
Yes.
So why did that quote come in so low then? Is it an actual replace, or are they just repairing what's damaged?
Hey, Chairman, this is Sergeant Sepsi. I spoke with Piper Roofing. He went up there, he took a look at it, and the condition of the current roof and the fact of how it goes up to the sidewalls and everything allows them to go in and put a new rubber membrane in, reseal it, and it's not in the underdecking of it is not in such terrible condition that it couldn't withstand that. And that work alone gets us another 15 years warranted on this roof before it would have to maybe be talking in the realm of a complete tear off and rebuild, and talking to the decking, the walls and everything. So that's where the 15 grand comes in. That comes in probably about 85% of the roof. The only thing that isn't covered is a small section over our squad room. That's a first floor only. He took a look at that and felt that nothing needed to be done with that.
Gotcha. And then, so then the fire department, that's maybe Chief Rita could answer that. That's a complete tear off and redo with the decking and everything.
Yeah, that's what he had indicated. That's why that price is so much higher than what we're needing here.
Good to know. Thanks, Sergeant.
Yeah, that's very good to know. All right. So that's good that you think that 80,000 will cover the new AC and then the roof repair or roof replacement.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the committee?
None.
Annette, anything?
None.
Chief, while you're here, if anything else you wanted to add or say?
No, I'm good with everything.
All right, cool. Thank you, Chief and Sergeants. Moving on to the fire department. I know Chief Rita's on, so if you have any questions, we could ask him. It looks like there is a substantial jump in this one, but I assume this is in line with the switch to the ALS upgrade. Is that correct, Dan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, quite a bit of it is, as well as the new roof that you guys were just talking about, and the potential new vehicles. So those are going to be the largest items or increases from last year.
Okay, great. Are there any questions for I think we'll probably have to do the same thing for the salary on this one. It's at 110. So is everyone good switching it to 105?
So is the fire chief salary listed wrong on this document as well? The 93,00934?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yes, unless it's including, like Chris said, I don't know if, you're right, Jim, we obviously don't get holidays, but I don't know if they count our vacation or holiday pay when they do give it to us as different, but that is off. It was 97,138 last year.
Okay. I'm good with going to 105 again, Kevin.
All right, cool. Annette, are you good with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Great. Any others?
Yeah, I got a couple. Chief, does the line item for vehicles, is that truck, ambulance, engine? What is that you're looking at this year? The 175?
That is
line 8050.
Yeah, that's the payment for a new engine and a new truck at 1.5 million over 10 years.
Ambulances?
No new ambulance. We're still paying the loan on, but that, and again, obviously, whatever direction you want to go, as I've been saying, and I just recently with the 2020 report that I just sent out, the replacement schedule. Unfortunately, the way it's been timed is that we're going to hit a large, or we're going to have to turn over a lot of these vehicles at one time. We have that 2004 one that we got in the ambulance that we received from Posen is in the shop getting its PMs, and then today we found out that the 52, the newest of the rigs ambulances, has two bad valves. So hopefully it's nothing big, but as I stated previously, unfortunately with Metro closing, there was a lot of, it was bad in a lot of regards, but the fact that we have to go farther distances, and we're putting more miles and beating up the rigs a little bit more, that's obviously showing out in this year alone and in our maintenance costs as we go through this. So, we can certainly talk about how we want to lay that out. The nice thing with at least the fire apparatus right now, I haven't really looked at an ambulance too much in recent times. But with the fire rigs, I know that it's going to be a year after we take delivery. So we have time for that payment if we so choose to do that. So we have some options. We can do some different things. These were more or less placeholders. We were, talking when Topeka was here of having an overall capital plan for the city as a whole. And then obviously when she left, that we were we were directed to go to this direction where we put it in our own line item. So I'm open to discussion, but that's where we're at as far as that payment, or that's what the payment reflect of a $1.5 million payment.
Okay, so yeah, we none of us, as far as I know, were privy to any of that capital plan information I know you guys were working on. I know during public health and safety, Alderman Steve brought up also purchasing a new ambulance along with a tower ladder. I know it was passed from there onto finance, and I believe we okayed it too, didn't we, Kevin?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm sorry. I have the notes in front of me. That's why I cut you off. Sorry, Jim.
Okay.
But in September of last year, it was agreed upon. And then Alderman Bilotto had asked if we look at potentially getting a demo and a new, if we could package a demo engine or truck along with with either an engine or a truck new, if we got a better deal. And that's where we're at. That's why I kind of focused my attention on how we could do that. The ambulances right now are running anywhere between $250 and $300. And if you guys remember back to with the CARES Act money, I was looking before we got the ALS equipment, of them potentially picking up an ambulance, because they did so I think in Will County. And I think, Will County, I know towns were able to do it. They ended up saying no. So I was still pursuing that, or trying to look and see if we could do it that way as well and get, 3 for the price of 1, if you will. But that didn't quite materialize the way I had hoped. So that's what you're looking at there. That's, like I said, we can play with those numbers, but just understand that unfortunately, we're going to have to replace pretty much the entire fleet in the next 8 years or so.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it might not be a bad idea to add an ambulance in here. I don't know, obviously it's a additional cost, but kind of spread it out, because otherwise, if you're going to start replacing 2 or 3 ambulances next year or the year after, then 5 or 6 years down the line, you're going to be in the same situation they are now, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm looking. That's why I gave that, the time frame in the year-end report, to kind of give an idea of our ambulances are. You can, 8 to 10 years you should be getting out of them. I would err on or go towards the 8, only because of the volume of traffic. I mean, we were busy, obviously, department, and our travel distances are further now. So if we can get 10 years, great, but we should start looking. That's why I laid it out that way, is that's when we should start looking at, cost wise and where we're at financially as a city, to give us kind of an idea of what we're going to be spending and project it, give you guys the idea to be able to project that out through, the course of time. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a large undertaking as we move forward. So
you're okay with just staying with the ambulances you currently have, or would you like to have one added?
I would like one added, but like I said, if we can play with the money and whatever, I mean, like I said, that we can defer costs if they're building us a rig. If it's a demo, it's a year after we take possession of it. So if it's a new rig, it's a year after we take possession. So it's going to be a year to build it. So that's what I'm giving you guys the time frame wise. We have room to wiggle in there, is what I'm saying. So we might be able to pull off all 3. Just know that next year we're going to see an increase in the, maybe not an increase, but we're going to see obviously the payment for one of the others.
Okay. Well, I think we should, whatever you can do to get that ambulance, I think we should wiggle it in there, or however you want to do it. I do realize that they were kind of beat up when they were relatively new when I was there. And now, like you said, they're going to 95th Street all the time. It's a much longer ride than it was the Metro. So putting the miles on them, and they're not easy miles. So yeah, definitely see what you can do to get that one of those also.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, the other question I have, Kevin, is in regards to, there's a bunch of things on here that are listed as, I know the union's negotiating with the city. I know we were given an original list a few months back. I'm looking at 6 lieutenants. What else was in here? I don't know. There's a few things that are listed on the high end. I don't know where we're at with the state of those negotiations. I don't know why we're listing things at the high end when we haven't even decided on that yet. I'm looking at a deputy chief position here, and 3 additional lieutenants is what I'm kind of referring to. And I know there's a bunch of other stuff in that original list of requests from the union. I don't know if anyone else has seen any additional stuff or how close we are to settling that, but it's kind of hard to figure out a budget if we don't know, what we're going to be spending it on.
But
Dan, can you answer any of that? I'm sorry.
Well, the deputy chief is obviously has been, I've asked for, I think 2 of the 3 last years. So that, along with what Chief Farrer had said about the industry standard, that's going to be reflective of what that salary would be over the lieutenant's base salary. And then certainly that's why we figured mine as mine. So that being said, the deputy chief would obviously give me an extra set of hands, which would help with administrative duties, which I'll get to in a minute here down a little bit later here. But the lieutenants, we did discuss, and the council actually approved, I think it was in 19, the addition of the 3, and then that never materialized. And then the 24 firefighters is reflective of what was discussed. And yes, Alderman Klinker, you're correct. We have not finalized, obviously, negotiations. I figured I would do the appropriations to reflect if this were to take place, rather than have to come back later and have to go through everything and ask again for it. So I know negotiation wise, I think everything's pretty much at a standstill. And I see Attorney Horvath on there until we figure out some of what's going to happen with the appropriations is what was really agreed upon with the union, to see what was going to be acceptable, what wasn't going to be acceptable, and go for there. And we are also in a contract year. That contract comes up at the end of December. So we'll be obviously negotiating that as well. So those were my thoughts behind all of that as to why I presented it that way. So yes, it is on a little bit on the high end, as you said, but that was also based on some of the discussions that we had previous in last year's both finance, public health and safety, and obviously throughout the council in regards to ALS, and then the year previous with the 3 lieutenants. So the deputy chief, if I have to cut, I'll cut. I understand that times are tight, so we can go another year or so with just me, if you guys are acceptable with that. But the other stuff I think would obviously help us moving forward with everything that we're trying to get done with this ALS would be very helpful.
I know we talked in public health and safety about either or. I think either you were talking about getting a deputy chief for 6 lieutenants and giving the lieutenants additional duties.
Yep.
So I personally like to see one of those cut at least. The deputy chief probably, not to stick it to you, Dan, but
no, that's okay.
Once again, we're dealing with limited money, and we don't even know how much money we're dealing with. And I'm just trying to keep this thing as tight as we can here. So that's just my opinion, Chairman. And then the other stuff that was listed on the union's list when you were negotiating with this, I kind of, and maybe I misunderstood, but when we started talking about this, I believe that the police, the public health and safety, and the finance were looking at not as extensive a list of what they came back and asked for. I think we're looking for, wages for the guys to go to school, pay for their school, pay for overtime for guys to cover for their school. And then all of a sudden the list became quite a bit larger, including 3 more lieutenants and a few other things. And as you said, the end of this year is the contract negotiations. I personally believe that's something that should be brought up there. But once again, I don't know what's going on currently. So with the negotiations, but that's just my own personal opinion, Chairman.
And to that point, Alderman Klinker, if I might just, the reason that the lieutenants, or I'm sorry, that the 3 other firefighters were added was because with that original proposal, when we upgraded, that option 3 was to add 3 more firefighter paramedics, which would obviously give us the thing. So the 6 lieutenants would go hand in hand with obviously the span of control. And like I said, I figured that would be, if we're going through both negotiations and appropriations, that the time to do it is during the appropriation. So you guys had an idea of what it was going to cost should we go ahead moving forward. I mean, the demand to bargain did have a little bit more than what was originally discussed. I think we talked with the union about that, and they were okay with us pursuing it this way through the appropriation. So that's what we're doing right now. I would imagine that if once appropriations is passed, and depending on how that goes, I would imagine they're going to follow up with that demand to bargain and see where we're at as a whole. But obviously, that's going to be, an entirely new city council, potentially, basically a whole new board potentially. So I think that's why, like I said, I threw it into this portion of our appropriations, is to try and get some of that hammered out so everybody would have an idea of where things were. And there was nobody left wondering, well, where did this come from, or any unforeseen cost that nobody had heard about. So that's where that's from, or that's why I did it that way. So again, that's certainly up to the committee and the council.
Yeah, I got you, Chief. I know when we talked last year, we talked about, adding stuff ahead of time and I appreciate you being, open and honest and shooting for the stars, for lack of a better word. I get that. And I understand why you did that. And I understand why you're doing this, but I just, once again, and I'm not saying people aren't worth what they're getting paid or don't deserve to make more, but we really have to look at what we're bringing in. And everyone's, we got street repairs that are screaming at people. There's flooding up on the north side of town. There's a whole lot of people that are looking for money. So I'm just trying to be, frugal where I can. So thanks, Chief.
So Annette, are you good if we cut the deputy chief position out?
I am good with that, but I have a question regarding the holidays appropriation and actual. I see last year, in 2019, the actual amount we spent on holidays was $61,000, and it went to $106,000 last year. Can you give me some explanation on that one, Chief? I'm not aware of that. Why did the holiday pay double just about?
Alderman Alexander, I honestly don't know. You'd have to ask. I don't know why.
I can explain it. It's the contract. So Alderman Alexander, 2019 was the previous contract. After we came in and got elected 2 years ago, we approved the new fireman's contract.
Oh yeah,
and then doubled their holiday pay. Right back then, they used to get paid 8 hours. Everyone got paid 8 hours of holiday pay for, I believe it's 9 different holidays. In that last contract that they negotiated and the council approved, they doubled that. They get 16 hours per holiday, each guy, whether they're working or not, additional pay for 9 holidays. So that's why the number effectively almost doubled. Not quite.
Yeah, that's right. I thought that we had finished, but that's right. The contract went a year past, so that is correct.
Okay, and so yes, I do agree with cutting the deputy chief position.
So Chris, could you do that? Remove the deputy chiefs and then make the adjustments for the FICA and the IMRF?
I can absolutely do that. I'm just going to delete out that whole line. That's okay.
So let me ask you this: under employee Medicare, employee IMRF, there's nothing appropriated. Is there a reason for that, Chris?
That must have gotten deleted out. I will add that back in with these other.
Because there is a civilian employee that should be getting that taken out of his checks.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for the fire department?
Yes. So the actual salaries for the fire lieutenants, is that for 6 or for 3 for actual for last year?
The actual is for 3.
Okay, so the new amount is you're asking for 6. Okay.
For 3 additional, and that would be the new total. Yeah, for a total of 6, correct.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm good.
I do have a question on my end. If I'm going to do the math on this.
Sure, go ahead, Chris.
Does that number need to be adjusted down for 5 months essentially of not having, or at least 3 months to date, not having 6 lieutenants?
Yeah, it would.
Okay. Danny, anything else you'd like to add while you're on the line? Anything you want to highlight?
No, I just wanted to answer, and I apologize, I'll own this, but I was trying to get help or was working in conjunction, and it's no excuse because it falls on me, but the safer we will get, the reason it hasn't is because with the changeover in finance, every time we attempted to start working on that and get that, we had some type of turnover, to be honest. So that we will get those monies this year, and they're still there. So we will end up getting that money this year. I promise you that. So I apologize that I'll own that.
So we haven't collected anything for those 3 guys that we
We
hired a
haven't
year
been
ago?
collecting. I've been doing the reports, but every time we go to do the financial reports, like I said, there's been an issue. So I'm going to take it, and that's my main goal for the remainder of until we start collecting it. So.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
Anything else, Dan?
No, sir. That's it. Thank you.
I have
Great.
one more question.
Sure, go ahead, Alderman.
So the salaries overtime, the actual for last year, and the amount that you're asking for this year, you say it includes the overtime for 3 more members. So the overtime for last year was only for 3 firefighters?
No. The extra overtime this year is reflective of not only if we took 3 new firefighters, but also the fact that we agreed, you guys agreed to pay for the overtime for our members that are going to paramedic school. So that's why you see that huge jump there. That was, I think it was $136,000, if I recall, thereabouts, for what it was going to cost. That was the estimate for them to go to school. And then that was in addition to what we were paying last year. So that's where that number came from.
Anything else?
No, I don't have anything else.
All right, thanks, Chief. We'll keep moving on. EMA, I know this
Okay.
falls under you. It looks like the only thing is that you have in here is for emergency supplies. Is that correct?
Yeah, and just to keep everybody, what we decided, and the police chief and I talked about this at staff a little bit with the rest of staff, and because there are certain grants out there that you can get through EMA, it would be probably in our best interest to keep that department at least on paper there. And should we decide to do anything else moving forward with it, obviously it would be a lot easier, but it's mainly for grants that we actually have that. And then we did obviously spend a little bit of money out of it last year with COVID. So most of which is going to be reimbursed, but that's the reasoning behind that line item.
Great. Any questions for this one? No, hearing none. We'll move on to civil service.
Kevin, can we go back to the police just for a moment?
Yeah, sure thing, Chief.
I'm sorry, Alderman.
Yeah, no,
Donahue,
it's fine. Go
ahead. I'm looking over this again, and I don't see a line for a deputy chief for the police. I spoke with Topeka about it, and she was supposed to add it, but I do not see it. Because I was talking about the deputy chief spot just moments ago, without really looking at this spreadsheet here. But can we add a deputy chief? I mean, one was removed. I mean, the last deputy chief we had was Chief Arzab. And where that deputy chief got removed, I don't know. I don't know where from or why or when. But Chief Arzab was the last deputy chief that we had.
Is the committee cool adding that in, or do we want to keep it out again? Because we did remove it from the fire department. Any thoughts?
Well, you removed it from the fire department while adding 3 lieutenants, though.
Sure.
That's not actually correct. Chief Day has not had a deputy chief since I left. I didn't have a deputy chief for the 3 years that I was there. So there hasn't been a deputy chief in the fire department for probably 6 years. Dan, you've been there 3 now, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
So the fire department has not had a deputy chief in at least 6 years.
No, Alderman, I was referring to the appropriations from last year. It was removed from last year, the appropriations, deputy chief spot.
In the fire department?
No, in the police department.
Oh, okay. I think we did that once again in order to keep an eye on money, so.
So is the consensus to keep it out again and then revisit it next year?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So we'll just keep
I mean,
that one out.
obviously-
So,
Obviously, the entire city council can, change the mind. This is just our committee's recommendation, I believe, right?
that's correct, Alderman. All right. Well, we'll move on back to civil service. It looks like it's about the same. Civil service does the testing. Any comments or questions on this one?
None from me.
Alderman Donahue, you said the civil service does what? What do they do?
They do the testing for the police and fire department. Carrie, did you want to? I know this is kind of in your realm. Did you want to speak of what civil service does?
What civil service does, they do the testing for individuals who want to become police or firefighters. They also test for promotions in the police department and fire department. If selected, they will handle disciplinary actions with respect to police and fire. And those are their primary duties and obligations. They just recently tested for police candidates. I believe they have a fire promotion test that's coming up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan.
No, we completed that in
Okay.
September, October, and then we had an entrance exam as well last year.
Okay, and then the sergeants in the police department have a promotion exam coming up. And there will probably be in the next year, there's quite possible, given the numbers and the existing lists and the manner in which individuals either choose to accept our offers of employment or not, there may very well be another test for another entrance exam for the fire department and or the police department. Those are their primary functions, and then they also monitor the rules and regulations for the commission itself.
Thank you.
Any other questions about civil service? If not, we'll just keep moving along. No? All right, on to public works. Jimmy?
Excuse me just for a moment.
Oh, sure. Any questions for public works and Jim Postroll? Anything?
Yeah, Kevin, looking at full-time salary, it doesn't look like he's getting any kind of raise. I know we've given other department heads at least 3% and other departments 3%. I'm just curious if there's a reason or what. I know we gave him somewhat of a substantial raise to kind of try to bring him up to par last year. But I'm just curious.
Jim, did you put in for a 3% raise?
I don't know if I was included in that or not. I don't know how that works. Sorry, but no.
If I could just add, his pay is split 50-50 between this and the water fund as well.
Right.
So we're looking at the 45,000 appropriated this year and last year and 47,150. You just have to double that. That would be the 3% just split across the two funds.
So it doesn't show in the little column in the notes, where you've been putting the percent change. It shows nothing there for. I haven't looked at the water department. I don't have that pulled up on my computer. But under this department, which is Public Works, it doesn't show anything. So what you're saying is that 3% raise is going to be reflected in the water department?
No, they're both reflected here. It's just not noted in that column that you're referring to.
It's not noted. Okay, so he is going to get the 3% raise, but it's just not reflected in the comment section on the spreadsheet that we were given.
Yeah, I can certainly add it to that section.
Okay. Just checking, just trying to be fair across the board.
Jim, does the 3%, does that include your assistant over there as well?
I believe so. I would hope so.
Well, yeah, let me look at that. Is that on here too? Is it Chris?
You know what? I think the assistant's salary is completely under water.
Yeah, that's the water.
Yeah.
So it looks on here, it says there's a 3% for the full-time salaries.
Okay. So what I think we do have in here, I don't know how it reflects, but between the public works and water, we lost an employee. We want to replace that one. And also we were going to add 2 more. But I don't think it shows too much on this because we were putting a couple guys, their full pay into the water. Like the guys that do the water main breaks and the repairs and stuff on a normal basis.
That's where that note's going to be there. The removal of the one, replaced with 2 new drivers, and then move the other 2.
Is that here? Oh yeah, that is here. Yeah. Okay. It is. Okay.
All right. Any other questions for Jim about the public works account?
What about the front end loader and stuff like that? That's all in the yellow on the bottom there. Where is that?
It's in line 8040 and 8050.
I'm sorry, what?
It's in lines 8040 and 8050. I see it down there.
Yeah, I know that. Where are we at on that? Are we we're gonna do that then?
Are you asking us to do it, Jim?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. If
Yeah, we haven't got any new equipment in the last few years here. So
and the front end loaders is what you use to do the salt a lot and a lot of the other stuff.
And the big bulk pickup, we clean the pit with it. It runs every day. It's one of the most important pieces of equipment we have here.
Sure.
So, and it's showing, we already had the seat repaired like 4 years ago. So I mean, it's worn. It's
what was the other front end loader and what was the other piece of equipment that you want?
Those were 2 smaller dump trucks. Those are like F550s, but they would be outfitted with snow and ice equipment and all that also. But
and that'll help some of the smaller side streets, the narrow ones, the one ways.
Correct, but the fleet is really showing its age as far as those trucks go too. So
sure. When was the last one we got the last dump trucks? When was that? Like 2014?
Yes, like 14. They're got to be 4. They're 5 years old.
And the ones that you're requesting, would they be smaller than those dumps or the same size?
Actually, we have 450s, F450s. We would be going to F550. It's the same size. It just holds a little bit more weight, like the salt. So it's the same size. It looks the same.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Is the committee cool with keeping Jim's request in for the front end loader and the 2 dump trucks?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I just want to make sure that we get estimates. Make sure we get 3 estimates for all of the equipment that we're looking into, just so that we can be able to have some comparisons.
Okay, Alderman, we would be trying to jump on like a state bid or something like that on that. We wouldn't be going solely just like Blue Island. We'd make sure that we'd be paying like what all the other big municipalities would be paying, or not municipalities, but like the state or the county.
Because that's we're able to part of the state purchasing program, right? When we buy stuff, so.
Correct. Yeah, and even the prices are really good usually when it comes in like that.
Sure, and we don't pay taxes on it, and it's normally the invoice fee, and that's it.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions for Superintendent Jim?
Yeah, street repairs, Chairman. So last year we appropriated $554,021. We spent $188,386, and now we're only appropriating $200. I personally think that number should be right back where we were last year at the $554 at least. And we need to get moving on it. I mean, it's something that's long overdue.
Sure, Jim. Do you know why that
would be dropped to $200,000? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Do you know why you lowered that, Jim?
I think it was lowered because the actual what that 188 reflects is Edison and Francisco, and it was outside the CBDG, or a TIF, and that's what they were aiming for, is to do pavement repair in places where it was really hard to get to. So I think the city engineer's on. I think he'd elaborate a little bit more even on that. Eric.
Sure. Thanks, Jim. And yeah, Alderman Donahue, this is Eric. Just confirming what Jim said. That 200K, I would imagine was our aim for like a recurring street resurfacing fund. And based on what the Municipal Services Committee has directed us so far with for this year, I think we would be aiming mostly to use that for local matching funds for our CDBG projects. So definitely the state of the street maintenance in Blue Island could use any increase possible. But just so you know where that 200K is coming from, I believe that was it was originally intended to be targeted in areas that aren't available for CDBG or TIF funding, which is like all the alternative funds we have available for roadway resurfacing. However, given the direction we've had, so far from municipal services, we're mostly looking to use that for CDBG matching funds.
Okay, so is the committee good if we bump that back up to 500K?
I am.
And that?
Okay, when you say street resurfacing, what exactly does that mean? I just want to have a better understanding exactly what is being done to the streets.
Sure. Alderman Alexander, that can actually be quite wide ranging depending on the actual street. So like Jim was saying about Edison and Francisco, that can sometimes be like reclamation and stabilization depending on what the actual street requires, right down to like a reconstruction. We just call it resurfacing to say street repairs. And typically what it involves is removing, in Blue Island, typically what it involves is removing the entire asphalt down to whatever brick or concrete base course is underneath, repaving it, and doing all the concrete sidewalk and curb repairs that go along with it.
Okay, and then how many blocks can be done with 500,000?
So this depends really wildly. This can vary quite wildly depending on the condition of the street and depending on the condition of the street and how much patching you have to do, how much concrete repair and stuff you have to do. But and also in Blue Island city blocks, we have a lot of half blocks. So if we did a 660 feet standard city block, which again, like not all of them you think of it as a block is a standard city block measurement, but I'm just going to give you a really general number here, right? And it's going to totally depend on the actual condition of the street. But to give you a really general number, for streets in fairly poor condition, which is typically the ones we aim for, we're looking at about $120,000 to $150,000 a city block. And then so if we're going to use say 140 per city block, 500,000. I'm just doing the math for you here. Give me a sec. Gives us probably somewhere between 3 and 5 blocks.
So 3 to 5 blocks is what we can do with $500,000, correct? So
right, and again, it depends. It really depends on the underlying conditions underneath the pavement, the condition of the pavement, the condition of the curbs, and then it can hugely depend on the condition of the water main and the underground utilities too. But just as a general number, yep.
Okay, so 500,000 can do between 3 to 5 blocks of street repairs. So we really need to focus on trying to get as many grants we can from the county and the state to increase that amount to be able to repair additional streets as well, right, Eric? And that's the grants that you try to assist us in getting, correct?
Right. So with I think what we have to keep in mind coming up is so the city's getting regular disbursements every 6 months from the state of Illinois, and as part of our motor fuel tax. It's called the Rebuild Illinois Bond Funds, MFT bond funds, and we're getting roughly $1.5 million worth of money in. I think we have about 600,000 of it now in the city's MFT account. That's directly targeted towards street repairs. So I'm hoping everybody's keeping that in mind. We have a meeting with the mayor's office tomorrow to discuss it, and we've discussed it with municipal services multiple times. Their feeling is they want to hold off to do a bigger project because you get better economy of scale. The bigger the project is, the better the prices you get on the materials, kind of like what Jim's talking about with the state purchase program. I don't want to make this overly complicated. Alderman Alexander, you're exactly right. We have to keep our eye out for every penny of funding available for street repairs because it's quite expensive, and the city really needs it.
Okay, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that, because I know that everyone is really harping on getting street repairs done. And I just want everyone to know that it's really expensive. And the money that we have, we do what we can, but to be able to do more, we have to get those grants from the county and the state. So that additional $40,000 that's being saved from 7 aldermen is not going to do anything. And I'm going to keep beating that dead horse lie. I need everyone to understand that we need money from the county and the state to be able to do those street repairs in order to make sure that the streets are done correctly within our city. Thank you, Eric. So yes, I do want to make sure that the appropriations for street resurfacing is back to that 550,000 to be able to do 3 to 5 blocks.
Great, thank you, Alderman.
Kevin, one quick thing. Kevin.
Sure.
So the truth of the matter is the streets in this town have been bad for years. They didn't happen overnight. I mean, I've been here my entire life, and they're not going to get fixed overnight. So yeah, as Alderman Annette said, we need to reach out, state, federal, county, whoever we can get to give us a hand. It's not obviously going to get fixed overnight.
Okay, so Chris, could you bump that line back up to the 550,000, please?
Absolutely. And what I'm going to do is after this meeting, I'm going to go ahead and send a copy of the appropriations with just the tonight's changes, so that way we have them, and then I'll send another one with the changes afterwards, but just so you guys can see where the changes have been so far tonight.
Great. Anything else for Superintendent Jim?
Not from me.
I'm good.
Well, Jim, you do a super job, so keep it up.
Thank you, Chairman.
You know, Kevin, I got one quick, Kevin. Hey, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
One quick thing, and Jim, I don't really know if you can even expect an answer. I know Chief Dan's talked about a capital improvement plan that he's been working with the previous finance director. I'm pretty sure you were doing the same thing. Does anyone know where that went or what happened to it? I mean, was there anything concrete that you guys were given? Because we never saw anything.
It never got started. It was something that we did talk about, and he said that it would take like a year to put it together or so, even if we did start. It never started. We never started it.
All right, thank you. That's something else that's long overdue too. So, all right, thank you.
All right, moving on, we'll go to the building department now. It looks like there's just a little increase in the building department. Any questions specific to this account number, account 5450?
Yeah, building officials raises 10%. Everyone else's is 3. I think that should be 3.
Okay, we could, if Annette's good with that, we'll have Chris change that to 3% instead.
Yes, I'm good with reducing that.
Great, Chris, could you change that from 10% back to 3%?
I can do that, yes.
And then is there a reason why we need a second full-time secretary? And how long have we gone without a second full-time secretary?
And I see Ahmed's on. Ahmed, could you answer why we need a second full-time secretary? No. All right. Well, we'll take it out, and then I'll shoot Ahmed an email asking why, and if there is a need, we can
Hello?
reevaluate.
Hello.
Oh, hello,
Can you
Ahmed.
hear me?
Hello. Yes. Hello.
Yes. I was trying to talk and somehow it was mute. No, the reason I said was saying that I started with the secretary, but with two of them, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, she was let go after a couple of months, and then we got the pandemic. And in reality, we had a problem when the last one also left, and there was nobody. Actually, still right now, we don't have somebody who could be able to run the adjudication courts. So, and that was done at the beginning, and so right now we finally got one 3 days ago, and that's what could happen again if somebody leaves. We don't have somebody who's trained on the whole entire two different software. So far, I mean, I'm able to handle some of the software, but I mean, it's getting to a point that actually there are two different types, especially ABC for the court. And at the same time, we try to manage, especially in summertime, more than summertime, starting next month, the permit and application gets actually overwhelmed. That it's something that will be very helpful to have two. And at the meantime, also that we only have one a full-time inspector, and then myself. But then the part-time, we actually also right now at this particular moment, we're out of a part-time, one part-time inspector. So in that case, the secretary will be helpful actually. And not only that, but also will change on the revenue, because it will be a lot better and will be a major increase on that.
Okay.
My question, Chairman, is can we get by with a part-timer? I know in the past, and this is going back a few years, there was a full-timer, and then I believe there was somebody that split time between there and somewhere else. She worked a couple days, maybe down by Jim. I'm not sure. I want to say it was Christina. I'm not sure. Or maybe she was hired as a part-timer and then hired full-time. I really don't know. But is there any way we can do this with a part-time employee? That way we're not having to pay benefits and everything too.
Ahmed, would you be able to do it with?
Well, yeah, we can try with the part-time. It will help a lot. Definitely it will help that we can do that. We can give it a try at part-time, because this way, just in case, for the idea is to have somebody just in case if the full-time person is not around, and in cases like that happens a lot. I'm out of the building. Nobody can do the permit or things like they have to be done right away, and so that will be definitely a great help if we still at least we get a part-time person. Yes.
Okay, so Chris, can you remove? Can you change it from building department secretaries to just one, and then add in a part-time building department secretary in the part-time salaries, please?
Yeah, what are we thinking for a part-time salary? I mean, is it in order for me to project? Is it a half the hours? Is it 3/4 the hours? I mean, I'm trying to get a good number into that appropriation.
Got to keep it under 1,000 hours, and it'll be $11 an hour.
Thank you.
Okay, so if we want to do that, so if you could just make those changes on that one there, please. All right. Anything else for the building department?
Yes. How many inspectors do we have? Building inspectors?
Full-time building inspector, only one.
So why do we only have one full-time inspector, but we want 2 full-time secretaries? We need more inspectors out there. There are so many complaints that we have
because
we've been trying to get resolved that cannot get resolved. I know a couple of months before, a while back, some of an inspector had left, a secretary had left. I mean, I didn't even know that you were missing staff, and so my complaints and emails and stuff like that was getting unresolved. So
that's the reason, because we don't have first of all, we only have one part-time inspector that is doing the work on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The other one is gone. It's been posted out there. Nobody have come around and pay, apply for it. And then the secretary has been gone since November. So, and basically myself, I'm acting also as an inspector plus the full-time inspector, and I'm acting as a secretary, and I'm acting as a part-time inspector myself.
So the part-time inspector doesn't want to be full-time?
No, he doesn't want to be full-time. He wants to remain as is.
Okay, I think I'm just suggesting that we do need another full-time inspector because what we have is not sufficient at all.
That will be definitely, I agree with you on that part. That will be something that will be great. That will be great help. But then in the meantime, if we have that, that will be also the part-time secretary that will help at the same time.
Okay, so Jim, are you okay if we add another full-time building inspector?
Sure, I agree with Annette. That seems to be much needed in that department.
All right, Chris, could you add another inspector and all the stuff that goes along with that, the FICA and the IMRF, please?
Okay, I'll go ahead and make that change now.
Cool, great. All right, any other questions for about the building department?
Yes, what's the other computer hardware software? 6664.
Ahmed, do you know what the software is?
Which one you talk? What number is that?
6660.
Yeah, it says in the column in the corner, it says tablet purchase, isn't that? In like the comments, you scroll further to the right.
Yes, I do see where it says tablet purchase. What type of tablet costs $2,000?
There you go. Okay.
Oh, that's actually tentatively talked because we're trying to go paperless. That's something for the time being that it can be used, but then that will be used toward the future of a software that we're trying to, talk to different vendors. So we come in, and it will be those tablets will be used in the future with with the software to be paperless total. So that's nothing that it's right now that we have it. It's something that we still can talk about that. And there was the intention to talk to Topeka before she left, but then now that she's gone.
So Ahmad, I think the question is though, is it just one tablet, or are you going to purchase multiple tablets?
We were thinking of only purchasing two to be shared because like the part time, one day is in.
Sure.
And the
So
other
it'd be it's not a $2,000 tablet. It's two $1,000 tablets.
No. It will be. It probably could be even less because we're going to depend what's in the market. And we do a comparison and we have different quotes, so this way we can have apples and apples.
Gotcha. Does that answer your question or not?
Does answer my question, but because we do have an IT person, Ahmad, would you be allowing him to get quotes for you?
That will be fine.
Okay.
Anything else for the building department?
I'm good.
Hearing none, well, thank you, Ahmed. We'll keep moving on. Next up is the Risk Management Fund. Looks basically almost the same as last year. So, any questions for Risk Management?
Yeah, this is another one with what shows on here is different than what I got from Topeka. So under account 7210, legal, personal injury, civil rights claims. On this, it says our actual expenses last year were $263, $562, and 85 cents. And what I got from Topeka, or through you, Chairman, from the finance director, shows $223, $838.40. So once again, the numbers don't match up.
Yeah. All right, Chris. And I obviously I'm going to send that document to you, so I think that'll be one of the things Chris could answer when he takes a look at it. Anything else for risk management?
I have nothing.
Hearing none, we'll move on to marketing. I know last year we had it a little higher, so there's it's about half of what last year, but last year we had the money in there for the census outreach and a couple things with that. So I think that's why we see such a significant drop. Any questions on marketing?
Why are we increasing community promotions to 10?
Chairman Donahue, I believe that's also there was a part-time person working in the TV station that's no longer there.
Gotcha. Why are we increasing the promotions? It looks like we budgeted 12,000 or appropriated, but only spent 5. I don't know, Annette. I don't know if anyone. I know when they do like I don't know if the rec center has their own promotion event, but I know we've done stuff like the National Night Out Against Crime was part of that. So we should probably keep it, because I know a lot of stuff that we've done in the past we weren't able to do because of COVID this past year. That's what I'm thinking. National Night Out was probably one of the bigger ones.
And is advertising and marketing, we appropriated 10, we spent 21. Is that all Browntown stuff with COVID and everything? Is that what that was?
Yeah, I think that was, I'm doing all the extra, the videos and the outreach that they were doing for since COVID started a year ago.
And obviously we're planning on continuing if we're going to appropriate roughly the same amount. So, okay.
Any other questions on this one? No, all right, great. Next is the rec center. There is an increase here from 88 to.
I'm sorry, Alderman Donahue. I was trying to get in and ask the question for the marketing. What is the part-time salaries for? Who is that and who's the full-time?
So I think the full-time is, and Randy might know. Randy, is it the full-time? Is that Ben?
I believe it's Ben, and then the other part-timer is not there any longer. I just know that was brought up before that.
So there used to be, besides Ben, he used to have like a number 2 that would help during the city council meetings, because he would operate the upstairs controls, and then there was a person downstairs also filming. But it looks like it's just Ben over there now.
So I realized that, last year, and I don't know how much Ben's done or hasn't done. I know he's been on some of these meetings helping him go and stuff. We're at $3,500 pre-COVID back in 2019. We appropriated 25 grand and spent 8,600. I don't know, 3,500 seems low if that's all we're paying this guy, especially if we start going back to, live council meetings at the council that he's required to be at. I know he spends time editing and all that stuff. I also know that he goes to different community events, at the rec center and films them. I mean, is that enough for what we're going to pay this guy? If that's all he's getting is $3,500, and he does as much work as he's done pre-COVID, we're getting a bargain. I think that should probably be higher, but I don't know. I don't know who's running the marketing department.
Or
the full-time is saying 3,500. The part-time is saying 21,000. I mean, I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm getting at.
We'll ask for some clarification on this one to see where he's being paid out of. If that's agreeable to everybody.
Works for me.
All right.
Is the part-time person going to continue? I know someone said that person was no longer there, but are they replacing that part-time person?
I would assume when we do go back to live city council meetings, Ben would want to bring someone on again, because I know talking in the past, he said it's a 2-person job.
Okay. Yeah, we just need to verify those salaries. They are way off to me.
Sure, I will get the clarification on that one. So what's next? Rec center. Sorry, pardon me. Rec center. So we appropriated 122 last year, and then this year we're doing 123. We only spent 88,000. But again, I think there is a dip in that because we weren't able to have the full programming as we normally would at the rec center because of the COVID restrictions. Are there any questions for the rec center or Mr. Bob Jackson?
None from me.
Annette, anything?
No, no.
All right, great. Next, water department. Any particular questions or anything you want to ask Jim? Looks to be pretty in line of what we've done the last couple of years. Any questions for the water department? No? All right, hearing none. We'll keep moving. What's next? The business district. This is, I believe, fairly straightforward. The facade grant program, it looks exactly the same as we did last year. So any questions on the business district?
None from me.
No question.
Okay. Next, we have the golf course. Again, same thing. We've almost the exact appropriation that we did last year is what they're looking to appropriate again. Are there any questions? I know Mr. Ruthenberg's on from the course, so I'm sure you'd be happy if there are any questions for him.
Well, I am gonna want to suggest that we keep the increase in salaries the same. 3% that we're doing.
Sure. What is it? It looks like it's 3%.
It's showing 3.11 and 3.20.
Oh, okay.
Look
Gotcha.
at the comment section. You know, I think and that, correct me if I'm wrong, you're just trying to keep it even across the board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can
So-
adjust that. I had just routed those two off when I was doing the preparation, so I can adjust that.
Great.
So, in uniforms, it looks like we haven't bought uniforms in a couple of years because there's no, I mean, I understand last year it was open, you know. So my question is, if we're going to spend $2,000 in uniforms, if Director Teddy's there, is everyone going to be required to wear them?
That's actually
yeah,
a really
hey,
good question, Teddy.
Yeah, hey, Alderman Klinker. So what we used to do in the past, last year it got cut during this process. But what we do in the past is, yes, we usually get 2 polos per employee, and then we'll make a schedule for all employees to wear the same color every day.
Yeah, okay. I mean, if we're going to spend it, we should make sure that they're being worn. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything else for the golf course?
Nothing from me.
All right. Seeing there's no more questions. Thank you, Ted.
Sorry, I have one question.
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Annette.
What is the capital carpet, the paint, and the light fixtures? Have we seen those estimates for that? It's, you know, I see it's $30,000.
Teddy, can you answer
I'm
that,
sorry.
please?
I'm sorry, Alderman. You broke up. I didn't really hear the question. I'm sorry.
The capital plan, the 30,000 improvement that you're asking for carpet paint and light fixtures.
Oh, I'm sorry. That must be an old note. So is that 80/30?
Yes.
So okay, so that is for netting. The municipal committee has asked me to get pricing for netting and put it in the budget for this year. We've had a big problem with golf balls hitting houses, and so that's what that is. I'm not sure where that note came from about carpet, and I think that was from last year, and that never happened either. So, but that is for netting on the golf course.
Okay, have you submitted estimates is what I'm asking for that particular line item?
No, I have not yet.
So the $30,000 amount, is that just something you just came up with, or have you seen?
No, I'm sorry. I was working with the municipal committee and I did get a couple quotes. But then I spoke to, I forget, City Clerk Hoyser, I believe, and he said that needs to go out to RFP. So I think the process kind of just stopped, and so that will be done the correct way. But those were a few quotes that we got along the way.
And Teddy, they were in that area, right? Around, I mean, you put 30 grand wasn't a number you just picked out of a hat.
No. Those quotes were right at around that number. So that's where that number came from. Does that explain it, Alderman Alexander? Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, finally explained it.
All right. Anything else for the golf course? Hearing
Nothing
none,
from me.
We'll move on to MFT. Thank you, Ted. So this is the MFT. This kind of Eric talked about it a little bit ago. This is the money we get from our share of the motor fuel tax. And Jim uses it to buy things like stone and asphalt and salt. And there's money in here for street resurfacing too, which we could use as well. So any questions for the MFT?
None from me.
All right. So we'll keep moving. Next is the pensions. This seems pretty cut and dry. We do this off of the levy that we set every year. So that's the money that we contribute to the police and fire pensions. So any questions?
Nope.
All right. Next is CDBG. This is the money that we get from Cook County, possibly through the grants. I know in 20 we appropriated 280. We only spent 14,000, but we're appropriating 140 again. And again, this is money that we go out and apply for grants through Cook County, and we're able to do streets. And I think one of the demolition of 119th Street was a CDBG grant. So any questions for this one?
None from me.
Hearing none, we'll move on to the TIFs. Any question on the TIFs? No? All right. Debt service is, I think this is what we pay on our bond payment, bond interest. I know we had, the bond was, there's a water bond. What else, Jim, did you have? You had the water project bond from the water tank. Didn't we take a bond out for that and we're still paying on that one?
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know.
So that's what that is. It's our bond service. Any other questions for this? No. All right. Next is the library, and again we do they're a part of our appropriation. So this is what they submitted to us. It looks pretty. It's up a little bit, but I don't know if anyone from the library is on, but everything looks basically the same. So any questions on the library? And if there are, we'll shoot an email over to the library to ask.
Yeah, the only thing I see, Kevin, is, and maybe the accountant can answer this. It seems like everywhere else that we're paying IMRF, the amount's going down this year. Here it went up 14, 15 grand. Is it a different rate, Chris?
No, we pay into the same rate. This was just information taken directly from the
Okay.
Maybe they were projecting upwards rather than counting in that new rate difference.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, just a question. I would just like to know what remodeling and repairs being done, because they appropriated 60,000 for it.
Sure, I will make sure to ask the library that, and we'll get back to you with what they're doing at the library. Anything else?
Nope.
No, all right. Seems that's the appropriation. So any other questions about it?
I would just like to know when we can expect the updated numbers, the correct numbers that should be in here to get us another copy of this appropriation.
Chris, when do you think you'd be able to update all the numbers?
I mean, I can take a look at it tomorrow. It's, I mean, it's all gonna be dependent on that source data. Like I said, if you can email that to me, the quicker I get that, the quicker I can turn around, see where it's gonna be. But I mean, I would assume Wednesday evening at the latest.
Okay. Any other questions?
No questions, but once again, I'd just like to express my disappointment in our finance department and whoever had anything to do with this and taking this long to even get it in front of us. We got that timeline back in November, I think it was, that you emailed it, or somebody emailed it to us. And by this point, we were supposed to have had this settled and done with through the whole council. We, as the finance committee, should have seen this. I believe that document said back in December, just so it's on record that we didn't get this until a week ago yesterday, I believe, is when we actually got it.
Sure. Hey, Jim, I'm not finding, my emails are only going back like a month right now. Do you still have the copy of what I sent you from Topeka?
The timeline that she sent?
Not the timeline, the document from the Smart Fusion about the billing.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm only going back to February 9th, so I guess
I'll look for it.
Okay. Which I think we have to approve this now, and then City Council could approve it Tuesday. But we meet again Monday, so we could, if there's any changes before the meeting on Tuesday, we could make them at Monday's meeting if that's agreeable to everybody.
Yeah, we can't approve this now until we see the final document, so it's going to have to be next week.
Sure. Yeah. So we'll do it. We'll approve it Monday, and then if everything's good, we'll do it at City Council the next day on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
So, all right. Anything else on the appropriation? All right. And we had one other item. It had to do with the roofs at the City Hall complex. It was on our agenda last week, but we needed some more information. I see a mod's on again, or he was. We lost him, but it looks like they sent in the packet some different things of what they want to do for the Annex building and the different other buildings to go out for, it looks like an RFP on these. So are any questions on this?
I was trying to bring my copy up, but I just wanted to make sure the roof repair, that's what you're talking about, Alderman Donahue?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ones. It looks like one's for $216,000, and then there was another one. I'm trying to see if it's on here. Yeah, we're talking about the roof repairs right now.
Okay, and what type of warranty comes with it?
It says all material is guaranteed to be as specified, all labor and material for completed work guaranteed for 10 years.
So all we're doing is giving the approval to go out to get bids, basically, right?
That was my understanding, was they needed.
Yeah, that's what an RFP is. We're requesting a proposal from whomever. So, I mean, all that stuff, obviously there's minimum requirements that they're going to have to meet. And once they do come back, Ahmed or somebody's going to have to review them to make sure they meet our whatever requirements we put in that request for proposals. So
correct.
Okay, so the proposal that was sent with the email, that's just one proposal. We're waiting for several. right?
Yeah, I think he just got an estimate, just a general estimate, but I think because it's over a certain amount, we have to go do an RFP on this. And this would just be the approval, just giving approval to Ahmed to start that process.
Okay, make a motion.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right, so we have motion by Alderman Alexander, second by Alderman Klinker. We'll have to do a voice vote. Alderman Donahue votes aye, Alderman Klinker,
Aye.
and Alderman Alexander.
Aye.
All right, 3 ayes, so that passes, so we'll let Ahmad know that. Any comments or concerns before we adjourn?
I just sent you that legal document thing you were looking for, Kevin.
Great, thank you so much. Anything else?
Nothing from me. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, motion by Alderman Klinker. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, we'll open up the roll call. Alderman Donahue's aye, Alderman Klinker,
Aye.
and Alderman Alexander.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned at 7:57 p.m. Thank you everyone for your time tonight, and we'll see everyone next Monday.